Hello Legacy students, Marsh here. So today we're going to look at the 3 basic right triangles, and then we're also going to look at basic trig. You're going to want to have your notes, writing utensil, calculator, and then probably that little foldable we made in class as well. So grab out your foldable, the special right triangles, and open it up to the first page. You should see 45, 45, 90 side length ratios. So there is a special right triangle known as a 45, 45, 90. So now each of them have their own little thing. What's cool is that the sides are related to one another. So if I have my legs, these two are called my legs. They are both the same measurement because they are 45, 45, 90 triangle. So let's call those x. So I have a side length of x and a side length of x. Now this other side length here is related to them as the leg times the square root of 2. So my hypotenuse is whatever my leg is times the square root of 2. Basically it's the leg with the square root of 2 attached. Alright? 30, 60, 90 now have a little bit different. Across from, we have different versions. Across from the 30 is called your short leg. So this is my short leg here. This is my long leg because it's across from the 60, because remember, the longer side is across from the bigger angle. And then I, of course, have my hypotenuse over here. Hypotenuse. I'd hope if I could spell. There we go. Now, my short leg, guys, let's call it side x. Let's call it an x for my measurement. My long leg is my short leg with the square root of 3 multiplied by it. So basically it's x times the square root of 3. My hypotenuse is 2 times my short leg, so 2x. Now, guys, you're going to want to make sure on a 30, 60, 90 triangle, if you do not have a short leg, you need to get it. That is the key to unlocking all the other sides. So when you start a 30, 60, 90 triangle, you're definitely going to want to make sure that your short leg is what's given. If it's not, you're going to have to make yourself get the short leg first. Now, let's check and see if we know how to do this. So I got this triangle right here, and it looks like I have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, right? So I'm going to circle that. And I know that those guys are related with an x square root of 3, and a 2x, right? So now, let's see. Who are we given? Well, it looks like we're given the short leg, right? Because he's across from the 30. So this guy's got to be my long leg. This got to be the hypotenuse. So to find y, I know it's whatever my short leg is times the square root of 3. So basically 1/2 times the square root of 3. Well, that's just the square root of 3 over 2, right? Because 1 times square root of 3 over 2 times 1. Now, how to find my hypotenuse? Well, it's 2 times my short leg, or double my short leg. So I'm going to go 2 times 1/2. Well, that's just 1. So my hypotenuse has the level of 1. Let's try this one. Well, it looks like we have a 45, 45, 90, right? I'm going to circle that. And I know those guys are related with an x, and an x square roots of 2. So what do we have here? It looks like we have a leg, right? Well, I know the other leg has to be the same as this guy. So they're both 14. So I know x is 14. To find y, it's our leg times the square root of 2. So one of my legs is 14. And I'm going to multiply by the square root of 2. So I get 14 square roots of 2 for a final answer. Let's try 2 more. So on this one, it looks like I got 30, 60, 90, right? Because I got 60 in the corner there. And I remember those guys are related with an x square root of 3, and 2x. Well, it looks like we're given the hypotenuse, right? That's not good. We need the short, because remember, the short is the key to unlocking every right triangle. So how is the short leg related to the hypotenuse? Well, it's 2 times the leg equals the hypotenuse, right? So I know I can set it up as 2x has to equal the hypotenuse. So if I divide by 2 on both sides, I will get x is 3. So my short leg is 3. So then that means my long leg is my short with the square root of 3 attached. One more. So I got 45, 45, 90, right? Because this is 45s. It looks like I'm given the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is whatever my legs are times the square root of 2, right? So I know that 8 has to equal x square roots of 2. So if we solve for x, I'm going to divide by the square root of 2 on the top and the bottom, right? So I'll get 8 over the square root of 2 equals x. Well, I can't have the square root of 2 on the bottom, so I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 2. I'm going to be given 8 square roots of 2 all over 2 equals x. Well, 8 divided by 2, that simplifies. So I actually get 4 square roots of 2 equals x for my final answer. Now, let's go on to trig. So trig, remember, we have sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine, remember, it was the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, some of you are probably wondering, what is this thing right here? This is known as theta. It's basically a way that we're going to call our angles from now on. It's a Greek letter, just kind of like pi, but theta is a way for most mathematicians will refer to an angle. So you're going to want to make sure you remember your SOHCAHTOA. Okay? Keep that in your head so you don't forget about it. Now, on your calculator, you're going to want to grab your calculator out. You need to check to make sure that these are coming up to what you need them to come up as. Sometimes your calculator is in a different mode. It's not your fault, it's just the way the calculator was set up. So, let's do a double check. Let's make sure we get the right mode here. So the sine of 45, you should get a decimal of 0.071. Tangent of 45, you should get just plain old 1. And cosine of 30, you should get 0.8660. If you do not, guys, if you did not get the same numbers as me, please, 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 I implore you, please check with me tomorrow so we can change your calculator's mode. Otherwise, you're going to do all these problems with trig correctly, but ultimately it's incorrect because it is not the right mode on your calculator. So let's actually use some trig here. So I got an angle of 42 degrees, I have an x, a y, and 18. What I always do is I like to find who's the opposite side, who's the adjacent side, and who's the hypotenuse. So the opposite side, remember guys, is the one that you have to walk the entire triangle across to get to from the angle. So this is going to be my opposite side. Adjacent side's over here. Hypotenuse is across from the right angle. So, let's solve for x first. So, it looks like I got an A and an H, right? So, A and H, if I think here, SOHCAHTOA, looks like A and H with cosine. So, I'm going to do the cosine of 42 degrees equals x over 18. Well, cosine of 42 degrees is rounded to 4 decimal places, 7431. Now, guys, you are going to want to round all cosine, sine, and tangents, or any trig, to 4 decimal places. That keeps you the most accurate you can be when you're writing down and rounding, okay? Now, if I put this over 1, that's going to allow me to cross multiply. It's going to make my life a little easier. So I'm going to get x equals whatever 18 times 0.7431 is, which it looks like, doing it on my calculator quick, 13.38 if I round to 2 decimal places, right? Let's try to get 42 now. So it looks like, guys, I have O over H to get my Y. So that's going to be O over H, sine. So I'm going to have sine of 42 equals y over 18. So the sine of 42, guys, is the same as 0.6691. Cross multiply again, I'll get y equals whatever 18 times 0.6691 is. Which on my calculator tells me that's 12.04. So my x and my y are 13.38 and 12.04. But now, sometimes you're going to want the angles and not the sides. Sometimes you're given the sides but not the angles. So to find the angle of a triangle, you're going to use the inverse trig ratios. We talked about inverses a little while back, but nevertheless, we talked about them, right? They undid each other. These are on your calculator. They each undo their respective functions. So sine inverse undoes sine, cosine inverse undoes cosine, and inverse tangent undoes tangent. Usually they're the second, if you push the second key and then sine, usually that's inverse sine. If you have trouble finding these on your calculator, let me know. I'll help you. I'll find them just for you. So let's take a look at an example here. So I have, it looks like, I want to find x. So if I label my sides here, let's put my little guy here. So across the way, opposite would be over here. Adjacent's here, hypotenuse is here. So to find my angle x, it looks like I'm going O over A, so tangent. So tangent of x equals 23 over 31. Now, you're probably saying, how do we get the x alone? Because I can't divide by tangent. Well, basically, you're going to take tan of -1, the inverse of tangent. That's going to cancel those out. So I'm going to be left with x equals whatever the inverse of tangent is of 23 over 31. Which, quickly on my calculator, I do that. And I get 36.57 degrees. Let's try y now. Now y, notice he's coming from a different angle, so I do have to change my O and my A around. Just because I'm coming from this angle, so my O would be over here, Jason over there. So looks like I'm looking at tangent again. So tangent of y equals 31 over 23. Tangent of, well, inverse tangent, both sides, get the y alone. So I get y equals inverse tangent of 31 over 23. 53.48. Oh, 43. My bad, guys. Didn't read the right number. There we go. Those are my two angles of my triangle. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.